Joining me now, Senate President Bart Hester, Republican of Cave Springs. Always good to get him on the program to visit about things happening at the state capitol. Bart, Senator Hester, I should say, thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
Let's talk about the fiscal session starts Wednesday. Just give me a very 10,000-foot elevation speech of what are going to be the highlights of this fiscal session.
I think the highlights are going to be that we're going to have a very responsible, very tight budget that was led by the governor, but after much debate amongst the legislature. So 1.76% increase in spending, it shows that we are not the federal government.
Well, yeah, because you got to balance the budget on top of everything else. So you are on track for a budget surplus of around $78 million. That is a lot of money to an everyday Arkansan, but in the grand scheme of budgeting over $6 billion, that's not a very big surplus. Why is that surplus smaller? And are you worried about leaving any margin for error?
Well, we're not worried about leaving margin for error because we have so much in reserves. And look, we're having less surplus by design, right? We continue to cut taxes on the people of Arkansas. If we continue to have $400 or $500 million in surplus or billions as we've had, it means we're taxing people too much. So it's by design that it's less. Now, we hope the economy continues to roar and that continues to rise and we can cut taxes more. But that number is why we don't have another tax cut on for the fiscal session anyway.
Yeah, there is no, as you mentioned, there is no tax cut that you guys have planned. Do you think everybody's going to be okay to just give it a pass for another year?
Not for another year. No, I don't think the governor's interested in the pass for a year, nor is the legislature. Look, I think we're going to look at the end of June. We're going to see where we end up at the end of the year. Or we end up 78 million surplus, or was it 378 million? Now that we know that we have fully implemented all of our previous tax cuts, we'll have a better understanding of where we're at. So by the end of June, we'll have a better feeling of where we're at, and we'll see if we can come together and cut taxes again.
Another big budget item this time around is going to be through the LEARNS Act. You guys raised teacher salaries last time around. You've got the education freedom accounts go into year 2, which is a bigger price tag than it was before. I think year 3 numbers will be out if they're not out already, and that's going to be when those EFAs go universal. That's going to be a big number too. Does the budget that you have right now already account for all of that additional spending, which is about $97 million for year 2 of those EFAs?
Well, it does account for that. In fact, I think the budget accounts for more than will actually be used. We wanted to be very conservative on the budget with the EFAs, and as we saw in year 1, we didn't use all that we planned for, and we're watching the budget surpluses and account balances grow at the Department of Education. So we know that it was going to cost a lot of money, but we know it's the responsible and right thing to do, and we budgeted for it.
Prisons and Medicaid, 2 of your other huge spending price tags that you've got there. What are expectations for what do you think will be additional money that you'll spend on prisons? And do you foresee some more higher spending on Medicaid?
Well, on Department of Corrections, look, we're just not getting a lot of guidance on what the need is from the Board of Corrections or what they're saying that, we increased $20 million during the biennium. We're not certain that all that's going to get used. But look, we all sit back and we look at what's happening at our prisons, and they're saying they can't fill the beds because they don't have the staff and they can't hire the staff. Well, then tell us what they need. Is it more money? Is it more incentives? What do you need? But just saying that it's not working is no longer acceptable. Every county jail is suffering because of the inactivity for the state prison system. We're basically pleading with the Board of Corrections to take action somewhere.
But you're telling me you don't have any financial numbers from them to budget properly?
Well, outside of what we've budgeted, right? We haven't had any requests from them to do anything different than that. But look, I can tell you, this legislature, as long as I've been here for 12 years, and we think as long as 20 years, have given the Board of Corrections, the Department of Corrections, every penny they've asked for. And we will continue to do that, right? What's our number one job? Public safety. So look, if they need some more additional resources, we'll get it, but we also want action.
Sounds like they don't need anything else right now, if you ask me, but what do I know? All right, what about Medicaid? Do you foresee some additional spending in Medicaid?
I don't foresee additional spending during this cycle. But look, here's what I know. We're going to start looking at Medicaid pretty hard. We're going to have some reports coming out. We're going to start diving into that now. Does that lead us somewhere for 2025? Maybe, probably, I would say likely. But I appreciate about this governor and this administration. They're taking on one challenge at a time. Well, we've had some really good reforms in K-12, some good reforms we hope with the PROTECT Act in our safety. So I suspect Medicaid's on the short list.
All right. Well, you're hinting at something that may be coming in Medicaid. Tell me what is being discussed in the Capitol corridors up there and in your office. I'm not asking you to reveal any, personal secrets, but I mean, what is the gist of the debate of what needs to change in Medicaid spending?
Well, all we're discussing right now is discussing, right? That's what politicians do. But we're setting up a bunch of meetings. I suspect that over the summer, we're going to start diving into what all that looks like, and Secretary Putnam will lead us on that. And she'll say, "Hey, here's what I found in my year in charge," and she will give us a lot of directions. Look, I'm always interested in what we can do. And this is not necessarily Medicaid, but DHS with foster kids and foster family. I think they're the most vulnerable among us, and I think we've got to focus there. If that requires more resources, the people of Arkansas will say, "Give them to them."
I have to ask the proverbial lectern audit question. When can we expect to see a legislative audit report on that lectern? What's holding it up?
I think anything like that, there's going to be a lot of public scrutiny. I think the audit is wanting to make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. But here's what my opinion on that's been the same since the day one. When the lectern comes out, when the audit comes out, people that don't like the governor are going to scream and light their hair on fire, and people that like the governor are going to say no big deal, right? That was exactly what was going to happen the day 6 months ago, and that's exactly what's going to happen when it's revealed the next few weeks.
All right, but you don't expect there to be anything that is particularly troubling out of that report?
I don't think there's anything that's going to be particularly troubling.
Okay, we'll see. All right, last question for you. Will there be any non-fiscal issues that may come up I know there has to be a 2/3 vote of both chambers to push something through. I know crypto mining has been something that's been mentioned, but are there any topics out there that might be non-fiscal related that you think need to be addressed?
I think we're going to have two topics. One is going to be the pay plan. I think that's probably going to receive almost unanimous consent from the House and Senate. We know that we've got to make some adjustment for the hardworking people that work for the state of Arkansas and serve the people of Arkansas. We've got to do better, and we will do better. And I think that's going to be number one, pushing out the pay plan, the new pay plan, and the governor's outlined the guidelines that she'd like to see on that, with some maybe options of bonuses or paid time off, and then up to a 3% pay increase for state employees. And I think that'll be number one. Number two, I think there's going to be something on crypto. Can I tell you what that is yet? Not exactly, but I do know that enough of our members and constituents in Arkansas are suffering from some crypto, from these mining facilities that are loud or there are concerns with them. But there's enough members that are concerned about it. I suspect the legislature will take it up. We haven't narrowed down to exactly what that's going to be yet.
All right, we got to find a way to work the word kryptonite into this crypto mining debate somehow.
We'll do it.
He's Senator Bart Hester. He once played on the #1 in the country Arkansas Razorback baseball team. It's the best bullpen catcher in the SEC that year.
Thank you. I said, yeah, if they had all SEC for the bullpen catchers, I would have had it.
All right, Senator Hester, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me.